The Zarn were not known for fear. They had ruled star systems for 2,000 years. Their fleet was fast, their weapons strong, and their soldiers loyal. But there was one place even the bravest Zarn captains avoided human space. No one had heard from the humans in over 300 years. After the final battle at Draxos Prime, they vanished. Their colonies went dark, their ships disappeared, their beacons stopped transmitting. The Galactic Council called it the human silence. Others called it the dead zone. But the Zarn called it something else, the forbidden wound. It sat there at the edge of the galaxy, unmapped and unclaimed. And now, a single Zarn patrol ship was going in. The mission captain Zarek watched the black void through his viewing screen. Stars looked normal, calm, quiet. But that was the problem. Human space didn't hum like other sectors. It waited, like it was holding its breath. "Coordinates locked," said First Officer Vex. His yellow scales shimmered in the dim light. "We crossed the border in 60 seconds. Zarek nodded, though his stomach felt tight. All sensors on full. "Weapons. Ready, keep communication open. No chances." Vex hesitated. "Sir, the crew is uneasy." "The stories don't matter," Zark snapped. "Orders from the High Warlord? We're to investigate the human sector. Probe it, test it, see if it's truly empty. If it is, then we expand. If not," he didn't finish the sentence. No one wanted to think about the other option, crossing the line the moment the ship crossed into human space. The lights flickered. "Gravity shift detected," shouted Vex. The stars outside changed. It was hard to describe, like the light itself had grown thicker, slower, as if the ship had passed through a curtain into a place where time no longer behaved. Zarek's claws gripped the armrests. "Report." "Everything still works," said the tech officer. "But it feels wrong." Then came the whisper. It didn't come through the coms. It wasn't a sound anyone could track. It came straight into their minds. A cold, slow voice, speaking in old Terran English. "You are not welcome." The crew froze. "Did everyone hear that?" Zarok asked. The officers nodded slowly, eyes wide. "Keep moving," Zarek said, forcing calm. "We record everything. We don't fire. Just observe." The screams 10 minutes later, the screaming started. It came from the lower decks. Crew members clawing at their own helmets, shouting about shadows that weren't there. Some saw faces in the walls. Others claimed the stars were looking at them. Zark rushed to medbay. Bodies lay on the floor, some still twitching. "What happened here?" he shouted. The medic was shaking. They just started yelling. One said he saw a human standing outside the ship, but we're in space. That's impossible. The lights flickered again. This time, the engines cut out. "We're drifting," shouted the pilot. The view screen filled with static. Then an image broke through, shaky, blurred. A single human stood in the dark, floating beside the ship. No suit, no helmet, just a pair of glowing white eyes. Zarok stared in horror. That's not possible. The final transmission, the Council would later find the last recorded broadcast. It would play for exactly 13 seconds before ending in static. The voice was Zarok's. His words were, "We made a mistake. We thought they were gone, but they've changed. Something is here with us." "It's inside." Then the crew started screaming. The video ended there. All that remained was a looping message in Terran English. "It's awake. Aftermath Zarn. Patrol ship never returned." The Council launched a second scout. It found nothing but a single shard of metal. It's floating just beyond the border. The shard had something etched into it. Not in Galactic Common, not in Zarn script, but in Old Earth. English. "Keep out the Council," held an emergency session. The chairman of the Oltari Alliance spoke first. "It's been 3 centuries. If the humans are still alive, why the silence?" An old ambassador, blind in one eye, whispered from the corner. "They were not silent. We just stopped listening. The fear returns. The borders of human space were redrawn, marked, feared, avoided. But the question remained, if the humans were gone, Who sent the warning? And if they were still there, what had they become? The galaxy remembered the wars. They remembered Earth's defiance. But they had forgotten one thing: why humans had sealed themselves in, and why no one ever came out until now. The Zarn were not known for fear. They had ruled star systems for 2,000 years. Their fleet was fast, their weapons strong, and their soldiers loyal. But there was one place. Even the bravest Zarn captains avoided human space. No one had heard from the humans in over 300 years. After the final battle at Draxos Prime, they vanished. Their colonies went dark, their ships disappeared, their beacons stopped transmitting. The Galactic Council called it the human silence. Others called it the dead zone. But the Zarn called it something else: the forbidden wound. It sat there at the edge of the galaxy, unmapped and unclaimed. And now, a single Zarn patrol ship was going in. The mission captain Zarek watched the black void through his viewing screen. Stars looked normal, calm, quiet. But that was the problem. Human space didn't hum like other sectors. It waited, like it was holding its breath. "Coordinates locked," said First Officer Vex. His yellow scales shimmered in the dim light. "We crossed the border in 60 seconds. Zarek nodded, though his stomach felt tight. "All sensors on full. Weapons ready. Keep communication open. No chances." Vex hesitated. "Sir, the crew is uneasy." "The stories don't matter," Zark snapped. "Orders from the High Warlord? We're to investigate the human sector. Probe it, test it, see if it's truly empty. If it is, then we expand. If not," he didn't finish the sentence. No one wanted to think about the other option, crossing the line the moment the ship crossed into human space. The lights flickered. "Gravity shift detected," shouted Vex. The stars outside changed. It was hard to describe, like the light itself had grown thicker, slower, as if the ship had passed through a curtain into a place where time no longer behaved. Zarek's claws ripped the armrests. "Report." "Everything still works," said the tech officer. "But it feels wrong." Then came the whisper. It didn't come through the coms. It wasn't a sound anyone could track. It came straight into their minds. A cold, slow voice, speaking in old Terran English. "You are not welcome." The crew froze. "Did everyone hear that?" Zarok asked. The officers nodded slowly, eyes wide. "Keep moving," Zarek said, forcing calm. "We record everything. We don't fire. Just observe." The screams 10 minutes later, the screaming started. It came from the lower decks. Crew members clawing at their own helmets, shouting about shadows that weren't there. Some saw faces in the walls. Others claimed the stars were looking at them. Zark rushed to medbay. Bodies lay on the floor, some still twitching. "What happened here?" he shouted. The medic was shaking. They just started yelling. One said he saw a human standing outside the ship, but we're in space. "That's impossible." The lights flickered again. This time, the engines cut out. "We're drifting," shouted the pilot. The view screen filled with static. Then an image broke through, shaky, blurred. A single human stood in the dark, floating beside the ship. No suit, no helmet, just a pair of glowing white eyes. Zarok stared in horror. "That's not possible." The final transmission, the Council would later find the last recorded broadcast. It would play for exactly 13 seconds before ending in static. The voice was Zarok's. His words were, "We made a mistake. We thought they were gone, but they've changed. Something is here with us." "It's inside." Then the crew started screaming. The video ended there. All that remained was a looping message in Terran English. "It's awake." Aftermath: Zarn. Patrol ship never returned. The Council launched a second scout. It found nothing but a single shard of metal. It's floating just beyond the border. The shard had something etched into it. Not in Galactic Common, not in Zarn script, but in Old Earth. English. Keep out the Council held an emergency session. The chairman of the Oltari Alliance spoke first. "It's been 3 centuries. If the humans are still alive, why the silence?" An old ambassador, blind in one eye, whispered from the corner. They were not silent. We just stopped listening. The fear returns the borders of human space. Were redrawn, marked, feared, avoided. But the question remained. If the humans were gone, who sent the warning? And if they were still there, what had they become? The galaxy remembered the wars. They remembered Earth's defiance. But they had forgotten one thing: why humans had sealed themselves in, and why no one ever came out until now. Space should feel empty, cold, silent, but not here. The probe drifted slowly through the edge of human space. It was a stealth drone built by the Eltari, covered in dark alloy, invisible to almost every sensor in the galaxy. It was programmed not to be seen, not to be heard, just to watch. But something in this part of space was watching it back. The pulse of the probe's journey had started normally. It crossed the threshold between normal space and the human dead zone. Its scanners picked up nothing. No ships, no stations, no transmissions, just dead silence. Then, without warning, the probe's cameras turned on their own. It hadn't received a command. No new instructions. And yet, the probe adjusted course. It aimed its camera at a nearby moon, one it hadn't seen before. There was a tower on the surface. Tall, thin, made of black stone. Shouldn't be there. The moon was listed as barren. Then came the pulse. Not a weapon, not a radio signal, but something deeper, an energy wave that moved like thought. The image feedback in the Eltari Observatory. The scientists watched the live video. For a moment, the camera showed the black tower clearly. It wasn't glowing, wasn't moving then. The screen flashed. It blinked. The next image showed something new, a pair of eyes looking straight into the camera. The team froze. "Pause it," shouted lead tech Morone. They rewound the footage. Frame by frame, the eyes were human, but wrong. Too wide, too clear, no pupils. It's just silver light. Then the feed switched. No one touched anything. The probe started sending images of itself, but not from its own camera. From above it. From behind it, from inside it, impossible. Moran whispered. We didn't equip it with external drones. The feed stopped, and then the final image appeared. Human face, calm, smiling, pale as ash. Its lips moved, and a single sentence came through the speakers. You're not ready. What watches in the dark? The council met again. The footage was shared. Experts from every species examined it. Some said it was a trick and illusion left behind by the humans to scare others. Others believed the probe had been hacked. But the deep thinkers, the ones who studied ancient races and forbidden technologies, had a different theory. They didn't disappear, whispered Professor Drakel. They evolved. Into what? Asked the council chair. We always thought they were like US flesh and blood, mind and machine. But what if they moved on? What if they crossed into something else? What kind of something? Drakel leaned forward, her voice shaking. Conscious space, living structures. Thought-formed matter. They no longer need ships, they are the ships. They are the watchers. That dead zone doesn't just block sensors, it feeds on them. Living silent scouts and pirates who had dared enter the zone in past decades all said the same thing, if they returned at all. They had felt watched, not by ships, not by satellites, but by the stars themselves. Some claimed the constellations moved when you weren't looking. Others said the darkness had depth, like it was looking back. One even claimed he heard Earth's old anthem playing in his head until his ears bled. The council buried those reports. Now they were listening again. The real barrier, the dead zone, wasn't just a mystery. It was a wall, a living warning. No communication went in. No light escaped beyond a certain point. Even quantum entanglement stopped working inside the core region. This broke every known law of physics. The stars inside, human space, had grown dim, flickering, like dying candles. But when astronomers studied the pattern, something terrifying became clear. The stars weren't dying. They were being arranged, formed into shapes. symbols, a message, and it was unfinished. A decision must be made. Debate broke out. Some members of the council wanted to send another probe. Others wanted to seal human space permanently. But the high scholar of the Ilari stood and said one final thing. We have always feared that humanity disappeared because they were defeated. She looked around the chamber. But what if they disappeared because they became too powerful even for themselves? What if this whole zone is a containment field? Not to keep us out, but to keep something else in. Silence. Then the chamber. Lights flickered, and across every screen for just 1 second, a single word appeared. Awakening. The council feared war, but this was something else. The data from the last probe sent into human space shook the core of every major empire. It wasn't just the strange energy, not just the images. It was the message. You're not ready. And then, awakening. But what was waking up? And where were the humans? A secret team was sent to find the truth. They didn't go to human space. They went to a hidden world, one far older. A planet once shared with the humans. Long ago, the archivist's discovery on the remote planet Oran 5. Deep below the sands, an ancient vault opened for the first time in centuries. The Ilari sent their best archivist. Sail Varine, a tall, thin being with 4 eyes and a mind like a machine. The vault had been sealed after the war with Earth. Inside were old treaties, battle maps, and locked transmissions that had been lost to time. But Sail wasn't looking for war records. He was looking for why the humans had stopped. And that's exactly what he found. The secret files, one old data core, was marked Level Omega, classified by human command. It shouldn't have been accessible, but Sail knew how to bypass it. When he unlocked it, he found only one file, a single video, dated 3 days after the end of the Human Galactic War. It showed a human commander, old, scarred, his voice hoarse. He said, "We've seen what lies ahead. We opened the wrong door. This is not a surrender, it is containment. Earth is now the core. No one must enter. Not ever. If you're watching this, we're already gone." Then the file ended. The human seal Sail dug deeper. He found references to a project, the Core Prison Protocol. According to the documents, Earth scientists had discovered a force pattern hidden beneath the quantum level of space. A kind of code that lived inside matter itself. The documents called it the Deep Pulse. It fed on attention, on fear, on power, and humanity, always curious, had unlocked it. At first they thought it was technology. Then they realized it was. Alive, the containment choice, the documents revealed something terrifying. The humans believed they could not kill it, so they created the dead zone. Not as a wall, but as a prison. They sacrificed their colonies, their influence, their future. They erased themselves from the galaxy, not out of fear, but because they were the jailers. The council debates back at the council. Sail shared everything. The chamber fell silent. One general stood and said, "So you're telling us Earth locked up a living force inside their own territory?" "Yes," Sail replied, "and they disappeared to keep it in." "Why didn't they warn us?" "They did," Sail said, eyes wide. "You just weren't listening. You were celebrating victory. You thought they were broken. But they were building something far worse than war. A seal." The warning signs return across the galaxy. Strange things began happening. A warlords. Flagship vanished, mid-flight, no wreckage, no trace. A communication hub deep in the Vega system received a human voice transmission from inside their own AI system. Whole star systems near the dead zone started shifting orbit, ever so slightly as if pulled. Then a council science team found it. A pattern inside the dark zone. A symbol made from star positions. Forming slowly, deliberately. It was a lock, and it was starting to break. One last message. One last message, one final piece of data appeared in Sail's vault days later. No one knew who sent it. No one had opened that file. It was just a sentence, spoken in an old, tired human voice. "If we fail, do not come looking. Do not open the doors. You will not find us. You will will find it. The galaxy had a choice: stay afraid or open the door. For 300 years, no one entered human space, but fear was no longer enough. Now, they wanted to know the truth, so they prepared a plan-a-breach mission. 3 great empires agreed to send their fleets: the Craddock Blood Armada, the Altari Observation Corps, and the Ven Trade Enforcers. Hundreds of ships, thousands of crew, and one goal: tear open the wall around human space. The breach begins from the edge of the dead zone. The fleets positioned themselves. They had studied the human barrier and invisible field that stretched across thousands of light years. It didn't stop ships, but it made sensors blind, minds anxious, and AI systems malfunction. This time, it used brute force. Massive quantum disruptors were launched at 5 key points across the invisible wall. It was like hammering a ghost. Nothing happened for 2 full minutes, then dash crack. Reality rippled. A hole appeared in the dark sky like a wound in space itself. "Field breach confirmed," said the Craddock general, sending in scouts. The silence inside 3 scout ships entered the breach. They reported back within seconds. "All clear," said the Ven pilot. "No resistance, no life signs. The space is quiet." Too quiet. The light inside human space was wrong. Stars were visible, but faint. Like someone had turned down the universe's brightness. "We're going deeper," said the Altari captain. The feed remained calm for 10 more minutes. Then everything changed. The feed dies, all 3 scout ships vanished. No explosion. No signals. They were just gone. Then one by one, ships from the main fleet started shutting down. Power offline, engines cold, weapons frozen. In space, their lights blinked out. "Is this an attack?" asked a Ven officer. "No," replied a Craddock admiral, staring at the dead ships. "They're not destroyed. They're being emptied." The empty returners later, the missing ships began to drift back slowly through the breach. "They're returning." Someone shouted, "They're still operational." But no one was inside. Every ship was fully intact. Systems untouched. Crew gone, no sign of struggle, no blood, no signs of life. Only one thing was different. Each ship now broadcasted a new set of coordinates deep inside human space, to a place no one had ever mapped. The coordinates pulsed again and again, as if inviting the fleets to follow. A strange beacon, then came the sound. A soft humming, signal barely a whisper, it spread across. Every ship, every frequency, every language. It wasn't loud. It wasn't even frightening, but it made everyone feel watched. It was a song, not music exactly, but close. A repeating melody, slow, ancient, almost human. The few translators who dared to decode it said the message was simple: do not follow. This is not a welcome. This is a warning. The council splits back at council command. Chaos erupted. Some members demanded a full retreat. Others wanted to go in. All the way, they argued for hours. But one voice cut through the noise: Admiral Dresch of the Craddock. "We started this," he growled. "We opened the door. Now we finish what we began." He stood, teeth bared. "Whatever's inside human space, it knows we're here, and it's waiting." The final decision in secret. The council agreed to send one ship forward. A diplomatic vessel. Fast, light, unarmed. One ambassador. One mission: to go deeper, see if the humans were still alive. And to find out what else was waiting inside, the ship launched as it crossed the breach. The stars around it shifted. The light bent. The darkness deepened. And in the distance, something rose from the surface of an old dead moon. A tower. It was black. It was tall. It was breathing. The diplomatic ship, Serin 1, crossed into deep human space. It was alone, small, just 200 meters long. No weapons. Its mission: make contact. For the last 300 years, humanity had vanished behind a wall of silence. But now, someone or something was watching, responding, and calling them deeper in. The ambassador aboard the Serin 1 was Thalanir, cautious but brave Altari, with a perfect record. But even Thalan was not ready for what waited beyond the breach. Approaches the ship followed the mysterious coordinates. The space around them warped. Not violently, but wrongly. The stars no longer moved as they should. Distances changed. Time slowed. The navigation AI broke down, then rebooted, then simply gave up. It's like the galaxy isn't following its own rules anymore, the pilot whispered. Then a new shape appeared in front of them. A structure. It was not made of metal, but something darker like grown obsidian and bone. It floated in space with no engines, no lights, no heat signature, just a single opening. The door opens as the ship stopped before the structure. The opening widened. A ramp extended out smooth black. And wide enough for one person? It's a docking port, Thalen said quietly. There, inviting us in. The crew objected, but he had already made up his mind. He stepped into the airlock. Alone. No weapons. No comms. And walked into the dark, inside the watchtower, though. Air was breathable, warm. Strangely still. The walls were smooth and pulsing, like they were alive. Light came from nowhere, soft and silvery. Thalen stepped forward and saw him, a human, tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in black armor that shimmered like oil. His face was calm, ageless. His eyes glowed faint blue. He smiled, like he had been waiting. "Welcome, traveler," the man said, speaking perfect galactic standard. "You have come far, too far." Thalen swallowed hard. "Are you human?" The man nodded. Some of us still are." "What is this place?" The man paused. "A watchtower, one of many. It is not a trap. It's not a base. It is a warning post. And it is active again. Because you broke the seal." The conversation. Thalen tried to remain calm. He asked question after question. Where had the humans gone? Why did they disappear? What was inside human space? The man who called himself Ward explained. "We went deeper into the code of reality than anyone else dared. We saw what lived beneath the fabric. We called it the deep code. It is not evil. It is not good. It is hunger, pure and endless. We tried to understand it. Then we tried to contain it. In the end, we learned the truth. It uses us. All of us. It's through war, fear, ambition. So we locked it here, with ourselves as the key." The truth of the dead zone. Ward showed Thalen what the galaxy was never supposed to see. A map living, shifting showing. The containment field Earth was no longer a planet. It had become a central node in a massive cage made of stars, time, gravity. It wasn't to protect humanity from the galaxy. It was to protect the galaxy from something inside humanity. "The deep code touched us first," Ward said. "Why we could see it, that's why we could trap it. But every time someone enters this space, the seal weakens." "Why didn't you tell the council?" Thalen asked. "We tried. But they were too proud. They thought we lost the war. So we let them believe it." The choice. Ward looked at Thalen carefully. "Now the question is this," he said. "Will you go back and warn them? Or will they come marching in, thinking they can control what even we barely contained?" Thalen hesitated. "If I tell them the truth, they'll panic." "Good," Ward said. "Panic may save them, pride will not." Then he added one last thing. "You came looking for humans. You found us. Remember this next time, you might find something else." Leaving the tower, Thalen was guided back to his ship. As he left, he looked back one last time. Ward stood in the doorway, unmoving, watching. Behind him, the structure began to close. The ship turned, heading back to the breach. And behind them, deep inside human space, the stars started to rearrange again, forming something new, a signal. Prepare. The diplomatic ship returned to the council. It brought no threats, no weapons, no demands. Just a message. The humans were alive. They had changed. And they had built something terrible. Thalenier's report caused panic across every empire. But it wasn't just what he said, it was what followed. Just days after his return, strange signals began spreading across the stars. Encrypted, pulsing in frequencies older than most species. The translation shocked the galaxy. It was a single word. repeating again and again, Prometheus. The message from Earth's Mona science vessel orbiting Earth's long-dead moon. Luna received an unexpected signal. At first, they thought it was background noise, but one pattern repeated, exactly every 60 seconds. A simple coordinate string. Buried under layers of quantum encryption, beneath the moon's surface, something was hidden. A dig team was sent. Drills descended. Robots carved deep into ancient human tunnels sealed 3 centuries ago. What they found was not a bunker, not a base, it was a vault. And inside the vault, an active AI, core with a glowing human symbol. One word blinked across the screen. Prometheus Asideth. I think the last human scientist, speaks the AI, came to life slowly, glowing blue and gold. A voice emerged. Ancient but clear, it spoke in perfect galactic standard. This is Dr. Elias Ron, lead scientist of Project Prometheus. If you're hearing this, containment has failed. It was a living echo, a digital mind left behind. Elias Ron had uploaded himself during the final days of the war, and now he told the truth. The deep code Reveladron explained. We found the pulse by accident, a pattern inside gravity. Reacted to thought, to intent. It spread in silence, feeding on violence, on war, on fear. Every major species has brushed against it, but only humans. Unlocked it. The project had one goal, not to control the pulse, but to trap it. They built structures around Earth's spires, tunnels, signal loops, massive quantum architecture hidden beneath the planet's surface. The name of the system was Prometheus. We became its prison. We fed it peace, silence, isolation. But the galaxy could not leave us alone. Ron's voice grew quieter. If the breach is open, it's already begun to wake. The code that changed humanity. The scientists' final words gave the council chills. Prometheus did more than hold the pulse. It changed us. It fused with our DNA, our minds. It elevated some, destroyed others. The humans you meet today are not like the ones you remember. They are part of the system. They are part of the cage. Then the screen went black. A new theory. Humanity isn't just guarding it. Council headquarters, panic turned to debate. If the deep code is alive, and humans absorbed part of it, said one ambassador, then they aren't just guards. They're symbionts, another whispered. Or worse, someone said. Hosts. The echo pulse begins across the outer edge of human space. Sensors picked up new disturbances. They called them echo pulses. Space-time fluctuations. Reality. Bending like heat waves. Ships experienced time loops. AI cores locked into ancient human languages. Stars rearranged into strange geometrical shape, circles, cubes, and spirals. Then came the whispers again, broadcasting not in sound, but in thought. Different voices across different species, but always the same message. The key is breaking. You must choose. Do not come closer. The Council's dilemma with the galaxy now faced a terrifying truth. If they continued to push into human space, they might unleash the full deep code. If they left it alone, the breach may grow on. Its own, they didn't know what to fear more. The humans who changed themselves into living locks, or the thing they had locked away. The stars began to flicker. Not all at once, just a few at first. But enough for every long-range sensor to notice. They weren't going out. They were moving, shifting in patterns. That shouldn't be possible. Galactic astronomers watched in fear. As entire constellations realigned themselves like locks turning, and in the center of it all, Earth glowed. Not from lights, not from life, but from power. Something was waking up. The silence breaks in a darkened chamber on Corrin Prime. The Galactic Council gathered. No one argued anymore. No one shouted. Everyone knew now. The breach had changed everything. Humanity had never been defeated. They had not vanished. They had been waiting, and now they were returning. The Black Spire rises on Earth. Deep beneath the ruins of old London, something massive stirred. A black spire rose from the ground, cracking the crust open. It wasn't made of metal. It pulsed alive, ancient, covered in symbols no one could translate. Civilians across neighboring systems felt it before anyone saw it. Their minds trembled. Their dreams filled with human faces they had never met. Some cried, some screamed. A few dropped to their knees, whispering one word: they're back. The first return then, the first ship appeared, not through a gate, not from warp. It simply wasn't there, and then it was. A black, silent vessel the size of a small moon. No weapons. No signals. No windows. Just a presence heavy and cold. It floated above the Council's central moon in total silence. For 6 hours. Nothing happened. Then a message was broadcast to every species in every language, across every frequency. We are the jailers. The key is weakening. The breach must be closed. The vision spread. People across the galaxy of every species began experiencing visions. They didn't see battles. They didn't see destruction. They saw humans. Walking calm. Eyes glowing faint white. Not fighting, but warning. The visions were always the same. A cage of stars collapsing. An ancient black shape crawling out. Galaxies crumbling into ash. One line repeated in every dream. We locked it here, but you broke the seal. The debate is over. Back at the Council, there was no more arguing. What do they want? One voice asked. They want to reseal human space, replied Salvarine, the Alari archivist. And what happens if we say no? He looked down. They'll do it without us. The new warships across systems near the breach, more human ships, appeared, but they weren't like old Terran models. They were tall, tower-like, some made of black glass. Others pulsed like muscle. They didn't fly, they floated on thought and gravity. Every time one appeared, AI systems failed. Weapons locked up. Engines died, but the ships never attacked. They simply hovered above major worlds for hours, then vanished, leaving behind one repeated transmission. You were warned. One final act of mercy in the last hour of the 7th. Day 1 human appeared in person, not in armor, not in a warship. He stood in the middle of the Council chamber. No one saw how he arrived. He simply stood there, tall, silent, dressed in white. He looked at every species, spoke. We locked it inside us. We lived with it for centuries, but you opened the door. This is your last warning. We will seal the cage again, but this time, not from the inside. And then he vanished. A storm on the edge sensors. Let's now show something forming on the far edge of human space. It's not a fleet. It's not a storm. It's something older. Something larger than any known object in the galaxy. It pulses with the deep code, and it's coming out. Only one force stands between it and the rest of the galaxy. The humans. The jailers, and they are already in motion. The stars were wrong. That's what the Council's top astronomers said. They ran the numbers again and again. But the truth stayed the same. The stars near human space had moved themselves. They weren't just forming a pattern anymore. They were forming a lock. Something massive was pressing against it. The shape that shouldn't exist, tapped the edge of the dead zone. A shadow grew. It had no name. It's no heat, no mass. But it cast darkness across light years of space. It didn't travel. It simply was. Every scanner failed. Every sensor glitched. Some called it a god. Others a disease. But the humans had always called it the deep code. It wasn't a being, it was a força. Its concept made real. And now that the breach was open, it was waking. The human response, the human ships stopped hovering. They moved fast, coordinated, silent. From every corner of the dead zone, black vessels gathered around Earth. The planet, once thought abandoned, lit up, not with cities, not with life, but with geometries. Massive light patterns spread across the crust, circular, angular, alive. From orbit, Earth now looked like an ancient lock beginning to spin shut. The final broadcast day message was sent only once. Not from a ship. Not from Earth. From inside the minds of every species that had ever touched human space, we told you not to come. You came anyway. You broke the seal. Now the last act begins. No threats. No weapons. Just that quiet, heavy voice. The battle. That wasn't a battle. The shadow reached the edge of the human line. It moved toward Earth. Every alien race held its breath. Would humanity fight? Flee? Beg? They did none of those. Instead, the humans activated the lock. The lock closes across the sky. Massive rings of light unfolded, each one anchored to a black tower on a different moon, planet, or dead star. The deep code's shadow began to resist twisting space, cracking moons, warping gravity. But the humans didn't stop. One by one, their ships self-destructed not with explosions, but with blinding white implosions of reality collapse. Each detonation folded a piece of the lock shut, and then came the final flash from Earth itself, a pulse so strong it knocked out every telescope in the Orion sector. When vision returned, the dead zone was gone. Human space was sealed, and Earth along with everything inside was now invisible. Not cloaked, erased. The aftermath of the council fell into silence. The deep code had been pushed back. The lock was whole again, but humanity was gone. For real, this time, no trace. No signal, no sound, just one fragment of data left behind in a drifting satellite at the very edge of the old breach. A human voice calm, familiar now. The galaxy knows why. Legacy of the jailers, centuries past, alien empires. Rose and fell, but no one dared cross the boundary again. The space where humanity once lived was marked red on every star map, do not enter, and deep in every archive one phrase echoed, they feared. Human space. Now they understand, because humanity wasn't just dangerous. They were the only thing standing in the way of something worse, and they gave everything to hold it back.